Hello everyone, my name's Tomato Anus, also known as the Half-Inch Hunk, and this is a single segment, all story mission speedrun of The Simpsons Hit and Run on PC. Hey, watch it. This run requires you to beat every story mission in the game, all 50 of them, no skipping, and it's by far the most popular speedrun category. And to help make this video, I'm working with Homer of Steel, the world record holder for this category. He recorded this run and helped with the script to make sure it's all as accurate as possible. Thank you, Homer. And also thank you to my patrons for voting on this run to be covered.
Homer of Steel begins the run by loading a pre-made save to skip the intro cutscene, speaks with Marg, and jumps to enter his car since that skips the door opening and sit down animation. This saves about 2 seconds each time if you skip opening the door and sitting, but doesn't always save time if the door is already open. He then does bush strat by lining up and ramming his car into this corner and resetting his car once it's far enough over the bush to respawn next to the Quickie Mart and save about 4 seconds. Homer backs into the vending machine for coins, then heads inside to speak with Apu and collects the ice cream and pop to finish the tutorial mission. Completing a mission unlocks the next one in the mission select menu, so Homer uses that to warp to the next mission. He's going to do this all throughout the run to save minutes on minutes of travel. Marg tells us Lisa forgot her science project and Homer has got to drive to the school to drop it off, racing Principal Skinner along the way. After jumping to re-enter the car, Homer drives around back and does the bush strat again to save about half a second. He'll crash into a vending machine up here for coins, which, worth mentioning, he needs to collect a total of 3,625 coins throughout this run. You use them to buy outfits and vehicles, and some missions are gated behind purchases, so coin collection is routed intermittently throughout the run. You'll also often see Homer driving in first-person view. This is mainly out of preference. Previously on Tomato Anus.
Can I move in with you guys? I think I want to move out.
Please, I need a roommate.
And then the next part of the game, called Guess How Many Streams a Song Has on Spotify, is I climb onto your shoulders and sit on them.
Sounds like how I play Duck Duck Grey Duck. Oh. Gavin, is that you?
What are you doing here?
Oh, hey, Minnesota and Chicago guy. I'm holiday shopping with my roommate, Pastoni Tony Marinara, but we didn't want to see what we got each other.
Same here. So what'd you get them?
A disc plate. They're unique metal posters designed to capture your passions. How about you?
Same. I figured Minnesota guy would appreciate the tool-free mounting system since it's so easy.
That's why I bought Gavin his. Plus, I thought he'd like the new Textra disc plate, which has 3D contours and tactile textures. Wait, Gavin, how did you and Pastoni Tony Marinara meet? I'm a huge fan of his.
We went to college together.
Wow, that's nuts, don't you know? Kinda like how it's nuts there's so much artwork available in the display catalog. I myself had a hard time choosing when I was shopping for Chicago Guy.
It is. Plus, they have art of brands I love like Call of Duty and Warhammer. I want to be a Space Marine so bad. By the way, how did you two meet in the first place?
Well, Minnesota guy was born on the 3rd of the month, and I was born on a Wednesday.
And you can get up to 36% off too by using the link in the description and code Tomato Anus at checkout. With over 2 million display designs, there's always something cool to gift a loved one.
Hey, should the 4 of us all do an escape room together right now?
You betcha. Let's go there now.
I can't wait to find out what you got me, Minnesota guy.
When he gets to the school, he parks how my dad did before he got banned from picking me up, and heads inside where he runs past a glue-chugging Ralph and turns in the mission with Lisa, before then getting the super important 1 coin from the fire extinguisher gag. As soon as he can, he pulls up the menu and warps to the next mission, and pay attention to how there's kinda an unskippable establishing shot here when he loads in with the black letterbox bars on top and bottom. That'll be important in a bit. Inside the Simpsons house, we hear French Marg do her best Marg impression. Gotta say it's at least better than mine.
Try Marge. Homie!
Might not sound like it, but she just said Flanders is malding outside and Homer should talk to him. Homer gets into character by driving through Ned's yard to speak with him. In short, Ned called the cops about a bunch of missing stuff, unaware that Homer was the one who stole it all. We have to go and collect all Flanders' items: his tuxedo, lawnmower, cooler, lawn chair, family portrait, and his son's inhaler. While Homer of Steel does all this driving around, it's worth talking about the frame rate this game is speed ran at. You can see in the top right corner that he's running this game at about 200 frames per second. Homer considers this to be the optimal FPS for this run because first, it allows certain tricks later, and second, it gives a lot of boosts. What I mean by that is you'll notice while he's driving around that the cars are kinda bouncy. Whenever your car bounces around a bit, you get a small speed boost, and when you play at a higher FPS like 200, you get more boosts. This is also why Homer does his runs on the Windows version of this game instead of console, so that he can play at a higher frame rate. Unrelated, you'll also notice while driving around that he glances back a lot with the rear view camera. This despawns traffic and pedestrians, so he'll do it all throughout the run to make sure both himself and mission vehicles don't hit things and slow down, and that he doesn't build his hit and run meter. If you're driving in first person, you can also despawn things in air from a much shorter distance. This is why earlier I said driving in first person is mainly out of preference. So Homer parks a bit away from Flanders because if he parks too close, then the car despawns when he talks to him. After cutting back across the yards with the car, he heads inside to start the next mission by hearing another of French Marg's Marg impressions.
Oh merde.
That one was actually much better than the first. Office Based is both the first destruction mission and the first mission to require a vehicle purchase. The vehicle in question is Barney's Plow King, which you can buy from him for 150 coins. To progress the mission, you have to talk to Lenny, who just so happens to be positioned across the street from Barney. Homer is going to pick up Lenny with his car and bring him near Barney. That way he doesn't have to walk back across the street to talk and progress the mission after buying the Plow King. Buying the Plow King first skips a prompt saying you need to buy it when you start the mission. After then talking to Lenny, Homer restarts the mission to instantly warp to the Plow King and save on some running. For this mission, you have to destroy Smithers' car before he reaches the power plant.
Get to.
Smithers is at the Quickie Mart, so at the end of the street here, Homer is going to cut a corner by taking a left over a hedge in his 30-ton truck. This is the greatest thrill of his life. He's the king of the world. Here he resets his car at a precise moment as he ramps. If he resets it too early, he'll spawn on the wrong street, but if he does it too late, he'll trigger Smithers too early. With the right timing, Homer will reset to near the Quickie Mart with Smithers getting triggered as Homer crosses the intersection. This makes it easy to push Smithers into a wall and deal a load of damage quickly, with you sometimes being able to one-shot him here. Homer exits the plow and uses his ass's shockwave to make a car explode. Then he uses the phone booth to swap back to the family sedan. Normally when you pick a car from the booth, there's a little camera movement to show you the car, which Homer skips by pressing the change camera button. Doing this at some point before selecting a mission in the menu is called Enter Skip Storage, since when you load in, you'll then have a prompt to press Enter to skip the letterboxed establishing shot. This saves about 3 to 4 seconds each time you do it, and he'll be doing it a lot. This next mission is called Blind Big Brother, where you have to destroy 9 power couplings in the power plant. He's going to go through them in reverse order and jump on a railing to be able to walk on air across a gap. He tries to jump on top of the boxes when destroying them, since he'll then be put in the air after the box breaks, which cancels the animation of the second kick. Up here he zooms his camera and looks up to despawn the character position and let him walk on air across a large gap, saving about 2 to 3 seconds, then does this trick again to cross another gap. After he finishes the mission, he's going to run to a phone booth around the corner to set up ESS again. Again, this is when you interrupt the car's show-off camera after using the phone booth by changing your camera, which makes it so that you can press enter to skip the establishing letterboxed shot after selecting a mission. Oh, and speaking of letterboxed, follow me on Letterboxd, I frickin' love movies. Inside the Simpsons' home, Homer begins the next mission, which starts with an unskippable cutscene. This cutscene establishes that there's a bunch of WASP cameras now flying around town, and also mysterious black vans, leading to Homer thinking he's being spied on. So 20 of these wasps spawn in every level of the game, and when you destroy them, they give 25 coins. The wasps are a bit funky though, because whether or not you can destroy them with a car is based on how many wasps you've already destroyed and the order you spawn them in. Honestly, wasps are super complicated and not worth going into the full detail of, but just know that speedrunners have to be careful which wasps they go near in order to make sure they spawn in the correct order to kill via car. General rule of thumb though is you can destroy 2 wasps per level with your car, save for this level and the third. You can destroy 3. So here Homer resets the mission to warp outside of the sedan and unpauses to make sure the van he has to follow moves forward right away. This mission is Flowers by Irene, and it's the first follow mission where you have to stay within a certain distance of a target vehicle. While he just needs to stay within range of the van, he's going to try and stay as close to it as possible. He wants the van to get to the end of its route as quickly as possible, and the van actually rubber bands. This means that the farther you are from it, the slower it goes so you can catch up, which is why Homer tries to stay by it. He doesn't need to be sniffing its grundle though, he can stray a little bit from it, so he tries to collect as many coins as possible throughout the route of this mission. Here he's going to spawn and hit his second wasp of the level with the car. As he continues to follow the van, he'll be using the rearview camera on occasion to again despawn cars and pedestrians to avoid collisions and hit and run meter buildup. Looking back and slowing down here also helps the van not get stuck in this barn.
Comme ça que je suis arrivé.
In the Stonecutter's tunnel, Homer's going to ramp off the shrine stairs to spawn and hit the third wasp of the level, meaning that there are no more wasps with car collision for the rest of the level. He'll then get out of his car, with the black van moving at a set speed whenever he's on foot, so it doesn't matter that it drives far away. Homer also used the phone booth before the van reached the finish to set up ESS to skip the mission warp camera pan. As soon as the mission complete text disappears and he can pause again, he warps to the next mission, which is the first one where you're forced to ride with another character in the car. This mission has us ride along with Marg and her censorship tirade against Bone Storm 2, a new violent video game hitting the streets of Springfield. To do this, you need to ram the truck carrying boxes of the game 10 times. The boxes only drop on good solid hits, so Homer is repeatedly slowing down and then accelerating into the truck. Homer says that he felt this part was pretty solid in this run, but he hopes that just for once, someone will call him sir without adding, "You're making a scene." When Homer goes off the ramp at the end of this alley, he aims left to land and reset in a specific spot to spawn up the road closer to the Simpsons' home. He then makes a frantic Bueller-esque drive towards the home to end the mission. As the mission finishes, Homer will stand by the front door, which locks the camera in place. When he then warps to the final mission of the level, the locked camera makes it so he doesn't have the letterboxing on the establishing shot, so he can pause and unpause to skip it and speak to Carl. Homer followed the black van earlier to Mr. Burns' manor, so he thinks he has to do with the wasps and vans, and now he has to race Smithers to Old Man Burns. Homer then does the skip named Carl Skip Skip to skip the old skip, Carl Skip. He backs into the power plant door and resets the car to clip into the door, which allows him to drive through the power plant to Burns', taking the same path he followed the van through earlier. Once he makes it to Monty Burns, he'll confront him about the wasps and vans, but Burns retorts that the vans are pizza delivery vans, and he then fires Homer. Homer does a kick in frustration at being fired as this wraps up level 1. Level 2 has Homer of Steel, now Bart of Steel, in downtown Springfield, where he speaks to Milhouse to start the first mission. The first thing Bart of Steel wants to do is change cars, but the traffic pattern spawned with the sports car across the road instead of next to him, so he has to stick with the Honor Roller for now. The Honor Roller is tied as the slowest car available in this level, which doesn't make any sense since it's a fucking rocket, but he's going to grab a sports car hopefully after this mission. This mission is the first one where you have to evade an NPC, but Skinner doesn't understand the concept of car washes and doesn't follow you through it, which guarantees your escape. Bart parks the car far away from the Jimbo he goes to Parlez so that it doesn't despawn, and learns that Jimbo stole the last copy of Bone Storm 2 and some lady destroyed all the rest. Bart takes out his anger on Jimbo and a vending machine en route to Kearney, who tells him that illegal fireworks are all the rage nowadays, not video games. Bart of Steel begins his fireworks search by trying to get a sports car, which thankfully he gets. Not only is it the fastest vehicle in this level, but it doesn't have an enter or exit animation like some phone booth cars. You save about half a second every time you enter the car, and about a whole second each exit, so in this mission alone, it's multiple seconds faster to use the sports car, and it just adds up throughout the level. So this is a time limit mission where you need to drive from objective to objective in an allotted amount of time. First is to Moe's Tavern, where Bart speaks to Otto outside to buy some fireworks, then Moe inside to do the same before getting back in the car outside with the stranger who's driving Bart around. He's now got to head to Town Hall and get some fireworks from Snake. It's worth talking about that this game is largely a driving game, so you really have to focus on your lines when driving to make sure you're being optimal. This is the most important aspect of the speedrun, more important than pretty much any single trick. The time you save or lose from driving adds up that much over the course of the entire run. So when he starts driving again and goes through the tunnel up here, he plays it a bit risky with hugging the left wall. This is naturally the fastest path through here, but you put yourself at risk of hitting a lot of pedestrians, which raises the hit and run meter a lot, or hitting other cars due to having little reaction time. Bart's on his way to the police department and aims for a vending machine here but misses it. That's alright though, because there's plenty of moments to get extra coins later on in the run to make up for it, even though it'll lose a little time. After getting the final batch of fireworks from Ralph, you finish the mission by having to escape Chief Wiggum. Oh, why do our actions have consequences? Bart crosses the median immediately, tricking Wiggum into turning around to get to the other side of the road, which you can see happen in the minimap. He then whips around the roundabout to lose the discombobulated Wiggum en route to the next mission, Vox Nerduli. He crashes next to Comic Book Guy, who asks to drive him to an internet cafe so he can be the first to maul about a bad McBain film online, but we have to race there against apparently the only other dude who has something bad to say about it online. Bart cuts a handful of corners to start the race and hits a wasp as it spawns here. Reminder that the first two wasps he spawns have collision with cars, so now only the next wasp he spawns can be killed with his car. While on the topic of wasps, they move in place with this pattern on a global cycle, even when paused. You can reliably destroy them in a car when they're at the bottom of their cycle, so in the future you'll see Bart of Steel manipulate that by pausing to get guaranteed kills. Here he detours in front of the General Hospital to destroy 2 crates and the second wasp of the level. Comic Book Guy successfully mauled but doesn't have a copy of Bone Storm 2 because Frink posted on alt.furryanimals.fanfiction.net that he bought the remaining copies. Here Bart looks away from oncoming traffic to have cars continually spawn and to almost run over a child so he can get a sports car before then selecting the next mission. When he accelerates, he's going to do an e-brake boost by holding gas, brake, and e-brake to start, which makes him accelerate faster. He's going to do this pretty much every time he accelerates in the sports car. He has to follow this black van to a location and wants it to get there as fast as possible, so he helps it cut a corner by pushing it right of this tree. This also manipulates the van into always taking a right at an intersection up ahead instead of it being random left or right. He'll then casually guide the van off a ramp and through a jump I have trouble getting when I'm not babysitting a van. Bart's going to take a detour through the car wash since he has to wait for the van to round the block, and he'll get out of his car to destroy a wasp for the coins. Remember, he's already spawned and killed 2 wasps with his car, so they no longer have collision. He's then going to do the exact same thing in the roundhouse up here. So Frink bought all of Bone Storm 2 because he's powering a monster with video bane violence, and also needs a World War II radio. Bart thinks that real violence is better than TV violence and agrees to help, and is going to Herman's for the radio, and for some reason we have to follow a van there and just not drive straight there. There is seriously zero reason given as to why we have to follow the van there. Bart relocates to the next part of the mission when the follow section ends, and turns out Herman's was robbed, so now we have to track down a criminal. Bart's going to drive to the expressway and find Serpent casually standing in traffic. How typical of a criminal.
J'aurais jamais ces poignées d'amour.
Serpent agrees to race us for the radio, and Bart can't do an e-brake to start because you can't do one and turn at the same time. Serpent sees Bart turn around to start the race and thinks that this radio is sure as his, not knowing that Bart is on his way to absolutely shit on his chest with a dope-ass trick. Bart heads this way to ramp at a pretty tough angle to Rainbow Road all the way down to the end of the expressway.
C'est incroyable. On se calme.
When he finishes the mission up ahead, he knows where the radio spawns during the black screen, so he's going to move into it before the black screen ends.
Maintenant, il faut trouver une antenne parabolique. Il y en a.
Next, Bart of Steel needs to get a satellite dish for Frink's creature, and he figures he can get one from a redneck, so he speaks with Cletus. He has to collect roadkill with Cletus all over downtown Springfield in exchange for the satellite. And this mission honestly has me realizing that downtown Springfield has the most confusing city layout I've ever seen. Why would a city ever be designed this way? Bart is mostly focusing on hitting all his lines here and despawning traffic and pedestrians when necessary, but he does take a shortcut up ahead through the roundhouse. This will skip a handful of the entrees, but you have to circle back later in the mission regardless, and he has plenty of time to collect them all.
Avec ça, je pourrais faire un bon système safety.
As he circles back to the ones he skipped, he's going to stay to the right to go behind the train for the delicacy, as opposed to trying to squeeze through the moving train gap, since that gap can have weird collision. He sticks out his right butt cheek while turning to clip a vending machine, and after collecting the roadkill up here, he then has to drive to the Krusty Burger so they can be turned into Crusté Bourgers. I don't know why I said it like that. I guess I just didn't want to have to say Krusty Burger twice in a row normally. When he arrives, he then has to escape Apu. You can get multiple options when it comes to Apu's movement. He can get stuck, he can drive a little then turn around, or he can chase immediately, and a lot in between. Thankfully, he struggled to keep up with Bart here, so he doesn't have to drive too far down the road to escape before turning back around and heading to Krusty Burger to finish the mission. He's then going to do the first main menu warp of the run. This is where you quit to the main menu as a way to warp to the next mission. This loses 3 seconds over using mission select, but it resets the wasp counter, so now he can destroy 2 more wasps with his car in this level. Frink now needs a blender, so we have to talk to Dr. Nick since he has one, but to get it from him, we need to play some Ape Escape. Sorry Astrobot, but you're 21 years behind the curve on Ape Escape homages. I'm sorry Astrobot, I love you, please don't leave.
Salut!
Bart needs to buy a Mr. Plow to fit all the monkeys, which costs 200 coins, and he buys it from his own dad, who likely made a profit off of his son. Like I mentioned earlier, things get more expensive as you progress.
Mon nom est Simpson.
There are a ton of monkeys to collect scattered around town, with there being a ton of different wasps along the path you can potentially hit. One spawns on the steps of the museum that Bart is going to drive up to in a moment, but in this run he just barely missed hitting it. That's okay though, because he's able to smash the wasp right after near the gazebo. I actually got a tattoo to commemorate this exact moment that we're all sharing right now of him hitting a wasp near a gazebo. He's then going to hit his second wasp up on the courthouse steps when he rounds this corner, meaning that no more wasps in the level will have collision. Shortly after resetting his car, he's going to go for that jump through the construction site again, which is a pretty precise jump with the plow. He misses the crate on the left ledge while exiting, but that's okay because again, there's a lot of leeway with backup coins he can collect later. He won't be having any woes about having 3 kids and no money instead of no kids and 3 money. Bart is then going to hit up the remaining monkeys with him getting out of his car twice to destroy wasps on foot for extra coins. The second time he does it will be as he hoofs it to collect the final 3 monkeys. Getting back to talking about Ape Escape real quick, this run was chosen to be covered by my patrons. I'll talk about this more later, but you can suggest and vote for what I'll cover pretty much every other video by supporting the channel. Ape Escape is suggested every single time and has been for years, and there's a small group of Ape Escape ride or dies who push for it every time. Traction is slowly gaining, and I hope that one day I'll be able to cover that game on this channel. So Bart accesses the phone booth as finishing the mission here to set up ESS for the upcoming mission select.
Vite, s'il vous plaît.
Bienvenue.
Prosternez-vous devant moi.
There are too many people using cell phones in the area, making Frink's creation malfunction, so Bart of Steel has to destroy 4 cell phone cars that are in the area, whatever those are. The first car is the easiest, where he just keeps ramming it into the tunnel wall, trying to get it to slam. Even though Bart had some troubles here, he was still able to take it out relatively smoothly while staying on track towards the next car. He wants to get a big hit in on the next car, and it's a nice coincidence that if you press E-brake as soon as you slam into a destruction car, for some reason it deals more damage. He's going to do that to this next car up here where he boops in on its nose to say hellos. He's then going to do the exact same thing on the next car as well, pressing E-brake as he boops on the nose. If you listen closely, you can actually hear Bart say boop in French. Bart of Steel doesn't destroy the third car fully, but instead positions himself for the final car, letting the third car tap that ass and explode instantly like I do. After destroying the vending machine, Bart will again go for the e-brake while booping the last car, but he messed this one up. It's a great opportunity for you to see the difference in damage when you don't get it though. After getting the last couple of hits in, Bart then has to drive back to the stadium to finish the mission. There's normally an unskippable cutscene to end the mission and level, but Bart is going to do a cutscene skip. Normally after the mission complete text, you're thrown into a cutscene, but there's actually a few frames where you can pause and skip the cutscene by warping to the first mission of level 3. Because he's playing at 200 frames per second though, that means that the frame window goes by super quickly. If he's not able to pause during the window, then he has to sit through the cutscene and lose 55 seconds. He also sets up ESS while doing this, which changes the timing. Let's see if he gets it here. Bart, now Lisa of Steel, uses ESS to skip the establishing shot of level 3 where he's now at the Springfield Harbor. Bart's missing, so Lisa asks Comic Book Guy if he's seen him around at all, not knowing he was abducted by aliens at the end of level 2. This starts a race to get the controversial comic where Itchy and Scratchy finally kiss, assuredly offending jackasses on the internet who didn't even read the comic to begin with. Lisa goes the other way to start because this gives him a much cleaner line to do this jump shortcut, which ultimately makes it much easier for him to get the fast cycle with the log gate below. On a related note, I saw this movie about a bus that had to speed around a city, keeping its speed over 50, and if its speed dropped, it would explode. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down. He's then going to ramp off the right side of this ramp to be in the air as little as possible, since you lose speed in air. After finishing the race around the corner and grabbing the woke agenda, Lisa of Steel hits the wall so we can stop and change direction faster. Lisa is going to reset on the corner of the boardwalk up here to skip up onto the roundabout on land. If he's done everything on time so far, he can get a fast cycle up here with the log arm. After turning fully left up ahead, he's going to go up the stairs jump zone shortcut and clip his right butt cheek on the wall. Jump zones give a state where you can jump a lot farther and get a lot of speed, so he uses this to get up faster. He's going to abuse jump zones in a different but really dope way later. Ooh, foreshadowing. After getting back to the android's dungeon to seal the comic, Lisa is going to jump and kick CBG in the eye as a thanks for telling him to look for Bart across the street at the arcade. He then does the same trick as in Homer 1 where he stands next to a door to lock the camera in place, which removes the letterboxing on the establishing shot so we can pause, unpause to skip it and speak to Milhouse. Lisa of Steel runs over to the booth to set up ESS before then driving to Wally Weasels and dropping 2,600 pounds of metal in front of Milhouse. Milhouse asks if Lisa's years-old dress is new before saying to look for Bart at Planet Hype. On his way there, Lisa of Steel purposely hits pedestrians and poles to build the hit-and-run meter. There's a crate down on the beach along with a spawn box for police. He's gonna try and time out when he gets the hit and run so he's in a spot where the police will spawn on the beach. The police would then drive and crash into the crate, giving Lisa an extra 30 coins. You can watch the minimap here to see where the haters spawn, but unfortunately, they end up spawning on the boardwalk. After talking to Milhouse and having him ask if Lisa wants to split some chewing gum, Lisa takes off towards the Springfield sign with a cop 100% running over Milhouse behind us. When Lisa jumps into the cargo ship shortcut up here, he's going to reset the car to spawn on the other side of the ship and skip the shortcut. When Lisa of Steel arrives to the mission end up ahead, he's going to find Milhouse, who turns out has been lying about knowing where Bart is and just wanted a chance to rizz up Lisa. Milhouse often dives away when you pull up, and sometimes he's so embarrassed from fumbling the bag that he dives off the cliff. If that happens, all you have to do is enter first person and he resets. Lisa then warps to Apu since Milhouse was no help and Bart hangs around the Quickie Mart. He uses the stored ESS to skip the establishing shot, then joins Apu in stopping Cletus from delivering roadkill since roadkill Krusty Burgers are cheaper than Quickie Dogs. This mission is a great example of how useful e-brake boost can be, since after Lisa redirects Cletus into the wall, he can spam boosts to repeatedly back up and slam to drop all the roadkill.
Chevaux de puissance bien commode.
Clétus, le roi de la douleur.
After booming Cletus like we're Jason Tatum, Lisa of Steel resets the car to spawn at the start of the new objective, which is driving to the observatory to talk to Frink and finish the mission. When Lisa gets there, there's going to be a black screen and fade in. He can move while the screen's black, so he'll hold up and mash enter to move towards and go inside the observatory. Apu said Frink might know where Bart is, and after talking to Frink to finish the mission, he's going to buy the cool outfit for 250 coins. This outfit's required for 2 missions from now, Slithery Sleuthing, but it's just convenient to get it here. The camera is also locked here, so he can do the pause-unpause thing. Lisa does a cool camera manip here by zooming in and looking up left while running up right. This positions the camera just so that there's a chance a car will spawn. He got a pretty good car here with the pickup, since there's a wasp at Camp Krusty that can only be killed with a sports car and pickup. The reason he's at Camp Krusty is to buy the school bus from Otto for 300 coins, since it's required for this mission. Frink said Bart disappeared after a bright light, and Abe said he saw Bart's red hat fall out of a black car, so naturally this is a destruction mission where you need to destroy several black cars that might be carrying your brother. A mission reset then relocates him back to the start, where he collects Bart's red hat and begins chasing down the first black car. This mission is pretty consistent and not too hard, with him taking out the first car by casually suggesting it hits a tree for full damage.
Coiffure! Bonjour les ceintures de sécurité! Ma coiffure!
When Lisa goes to destroy the next car up here, he looks back to despawn every car on the left side of the road. This manipulates the car into going that way, which lines up a head-on collision, spinning it back for an easy kill. He tries to go through the shortcut while clipping the car, but just barely misses here and has to drive around the block to hunt it down. After destroying the second car that Lisa Simpson believes her brother is in, Lisa of Steel is going to drive down towards the ramp and go off the right side, but this time he'll reset upon landing. This gives him a better line for the final car that he'll destroy, which he does in style by getting out and ass slamming as he accesses a phone booth to both set up ESS and get the Malibu Stacy car. Bart wasn't in any of the explosions, so Lisa goes to Chief Wiggum for the mission Lisa has to be cool for. This is the first follow and collect mission where you follow a car that drops items periodically. No speedrunners like this mission. Lisa of Steel doesn't really hate it though. The first 2 drops aren't too bad, but the third one is really random and can take a long time to drop. While driving, Lisa of Steel is trying to bump Serpent to prevent him from stopping. He's also going to try to stop him from getting stuck on the wall next to the stairs after the U-turn up here.
J'espère qu'ils sont recyclables.
Deuxième infraction. Renverser une personne âgée sans avoir son permis.
Regarde où tu vas!
Je crois que le chili de midi...
For the last drop, Lisa is going to drive in front of Serpent and try to block him and prevent him from going too far, since we have to turn around after the last drop. If you don't block him, then he can go over the bridge and drop on the other side, losing you about 15 seconds. He'll then drive back to the main roundabout and set up ESS again, with Wiggum saying to check out the docks for government types.
Wiggum, c'est ton grand jour.
Pourvu que je puisse l'amortir.
Troisième...
Ouais, j'ai gagné! Vous pouvez
In this mission, Captain McAllister says he'll tell us a fishy activity if we collect fish. As Lisa approaches the lighthouse up here, he's going to pause to wait until the wasp is at a good point in its cycle to destroy. This wasp is pretty much impossible to hit with your car if it's not at the good point. After veering right for a crate, the rest of this mission is pretty linear. This specific car he's driving is pretty bouncy, and if you remember earlier, I mentioned that bouncing is good because you gain speed from it. You can actually kinda learn how to bounce by taking specific turns a certain way. Part of getting really good at this game is getting consistent at bouncing the car on as many individual turns as possible. That's one of the many reasons this game makes for a great speedrun. There's a lot of depth to it and you can really cheese for speed. While Lisa of Steel finishes this mission, I'd just like to say, as always, that I hope you're all doing well. If you're not, then please remember, as always, that no matter what's going on right now, it cannot take away from you the fact that there is a tomorrow. No matter how overwhelming things are, any dread or guilt or anything like that hanging over your head, none of it can stop the sun from rising. These feelings of despair or hopelessness do not define you. There is so much to you as a person that makes you unique, and these feelings are not a part of that equation. We're all human and we've all had struggles. You're not alone. People are far more willing to talk about what's going on than you think, and just sharing can be a huge release. Always remember that no feeling is final.
La cave va me dire c'est...
The last mission of level 3 is pretty hard. It's another destruction mission where you have to destroy a limo that Captain McAllister saw Bart in. Lisa stays on the right side of the boardwalk to make the limo go on his left, so he can then rotate and push it into a wall, lining up Lisa's head with this line on the roof. He then gets the Mr. Plow from the booth, which spawns in on the limo, setting up Lisa to explode it and maybe Bart with one ass slam. Lisa Simpson thinks she killed Bart and isn't wholly sure what she thought would happen, but it turns out the captain saw Bart get up on the cargo ship. Lisa of Steel is going to do boat jump, which doesn't save a whole lot of time but does get you a lot of coins. He hits a pier post here just right to launch into the reset point for falling off the boat, respawning him up on top where he hits a couple crates en route to Bart. As he approaches Bart up here, he tries to collect a wasp with the car, but isn't able to due to incorrectly spawning the wasps in this level. He then reunites with a gibberish-speaking Bart and kicks him off the cargo ship, hoping that some brain damage might jog his memory. Level 4 returns us to the map from level 1 with a few additions and modifications. Lisa, now Marg of Steel, sets out to follow the police to where they're headed to talk to them about Bart's state. He jumps on top of the car to skip the entry animation, and then is going to hesitate a moment for a wasp to spawn before slamming into it and the fence behind it while holding right, causing the Canyonero to fishtail left and take out a second wasp that spawns. He then resets, which requires really tight timing, since if you go a little slow, then Wiggum gets too far away and you fail. Like, watch how low the follow meter gets. Marg has already taken out 2 wasps with the car, so they no longer have collision with vehicles this level. He's going to try and take one out on foot on top of the Quickie Mart here while Wiggum approaches the objective, but unfortunately wasn't able to collect the coins in time before Wiggum gets there and warps Marg to the next part of the mission. The donut shop Wiggum drove to is closed, so now Marg of Steel has to chase a donut truck around and commit multiple hit and runs in the name of the law. Like earlier, he goes to block and guide the donut truck into a wall where he continually e-brake boosts to drop enough donuts before then getting out to collect them all. After forcefully grabbing 9 donuts with his bare hands, he resets his car and will then park far enough away from Wiggum so the Canyonero doesn't despawn. Wiggum tells Marg that there's a crop circle at Cletus's, but before heading there, Marg is going to head inside the Quickie Mart where he'll buy the inmate outfit for 300 coins. He needs this outfit for 2 missions from now, and after buying it, he does a main menu warp to reset the wasp collision in the level. He still has ESS set up for when he was Lisa of Steel, so he uses that to skip the establishing shot before beginning Redneck Roundup, where Cletus thinks Marg is a photojournalist from New York and flees. This is another follow and collect mission, and Marg destroys the first of the next 2 collision wasps in the trailer park here. When he drives through the barn up here, he sticks to the left wall so that a wasp doesn't spawn in the field outside, trying to ensure that the next wasp to spawn is one that's not out of his way so he can hit it with the car. When Marg drives through the power plant here, he slows down to manipulate Cletus into not slowing down or getting stuck on walls. Nice bonus is that he can take this moment to get a couple vending machines. Worth mentioning is that the default car for this level, the Canyonero, is what Marg of Steel refers to as, quote, the worst car ever, especially when playing at 200 FPS. This car has a really high center of gravity, so it likes to freak out when you're making sharp turns. He's such not a fan of the car that when he exits the power plant up ahead, he's going to stop at a phone booth to swap to Malibu Stacy, which also sets up ESS again.
Je suis si génial. mec, et vite.
He's then going to stop at a gas station up ahead and get out of the car to kick a vending machine twice for 2/3 of its coins. This way the vending machine isn't destroyed and doesn't despawn, and when he then warps to the next mission, it'll regain all of its coins. That way he can destroy it later for the full value. He's gonna have some time to spare as he drives through the rest of the mission, so he'll take detours here and there for coins. I'm sure by this point you've asked yourself or in the comments why the game is in French. I'm sure just as many of you arrived at the conclusion that the French version of the game must be faster. That's often the case for speedruns and can be a safe assumption to make, but it's not the case for this run. The French version isn't any faster. Marg of Steel is French, and he happened to have this version of the game installed at the time instead of the English version. He usually does the runs in English though, since the PAL version of the game has exclusive crashes that can make the game unbearable to run. Were it not for that, Marg says he'd run the game in French all the time. So now that Cletus knows Marg isn't a photographer, he wants her to help with his ketchup packet harvest, which is the mission we changed outfits for earlier. Marg of Steel says that this is a super cool mission since you drive Cletus's truck and it gets a ton of boosts when playing at 200 FPS. Again, boosts are caused by bouncing, and the bouncier the car, the better. At least that's what that one girl with the tail in high school always said.
Il y a une autre décharge dans le coin. Je le sens avec mon os odorant.
When he ramps to behind the school up here, he drives on the right side of the ramp to make sure the wasp on the school's back steps has collision.
Aide-moi, Seigneur. C'était mieux que la boîte à film.
Oh, c'est pas de poche. C'est pas très gentil.
After the chessboard ahead, he'll drop into the power plant and attempt a speed boost where he'll slow down a lot at the ledge and attempt to briefly get the back wheels stuck on the upper platform. If done right, you can get a big boost and go straight for the jump on the right. He didn't get it here, so he has to do a small loop to gain enough speed to hit this jump and collect the ketchup.
J'espère que ça n'appartenait pas à quelqu'un. Mets de la glace, s'il te plaît.
Outside the plant, he then has to escape a government agent as he drives back to Cletus's. He drives through the crops here where the ground is real funky and movement is weird, and then drives past the barn he drove through earlier.
Oh là, dommage que j'ai pas vu Goku comme j'ai vu à la télé.
After completing Cletus's harvest, he tells us that we should check out the graveyard for people who have seen crop circles. Even though we were told earlier the crop circle was here, I'm not sure what's going on anymore. After the Steely Dan mission, Marg of Steel warps to the graveyard to speak with Mole Man. We then have to race Wiggum to the retirement castle since Mole Man's out past curfew and he has to be home before the police lock the doors. Also, he said Abe knows about crop circles. Runners used to swap to Malibu Stacy at a phone booth for this mission, but they've stopped doing that in favor of sticking with the Canyonero. This way they don't have to run to a phone booth, but also he's going to do Bush Strat here like he did back in Homer 1. Bush Strat is super easy in the Canyonero, nets an extra crate, and cuts the corner to bring him pretty much straight to the finish. When asked about crop circles, Abe says his medication was stolen, so Marg has to go to the school and get it back from Nelson.
Restez sur mon chemin. Vol. Volant. Immeuble. Oh, ça avait l'air cher.
When Marg pulls up to the little bitch who deserves 2 for flinching, we learn that Nelson gave the meds to some dudes in a black car, so now we have to follow one as it drops the meds. Marg of Steel will then drive up to the school to destroy a crate, and if he did all the wasp spawn manipulation correctly this level, he'll destroy a wasp too. This begins another long follow mission, and in about 12 seconds up ahead near the church, the car is supposed to turn left, but in this run it ended up turning right. This is unfortunate because this makes the car more likely to get temporarily stuck at Krusty Burger later on, but also Marg wants to swap to Malibu Stacy again but had bad traffic that blocked him from the booth. This just means he has to get Malibu Stacy at the next booth, and you'll notice that right now his hit and run meter is pretty full, but when he uses the booth, it resets so he can then play a bit more risky in the back half of the mission. Also, using the booth set up ESS again. It might look like Marg of Steel has a lot of leeway with the follow meter, but for some reason this mission can fail if the follow bar drops to about 1/4, so Marg is trying to make sure he keeps it at about half or above to stay safe. Up ahead when he takes a right, he's going to take out that vending machine he kicked twice earlier to get the full amount of coins from it this time. So something super annoying about this mission is that you can get what's referred to as the 2 cycle. If you stay too close to the car, then it'll go too fast and drop the 9th med before the 8th, causing it to loop and do the route again, dropping the 8th med on the 2nd loop. That makes this mission a delicate balance of staying close to the car so it goes fast, but trying to stay far enough away so that it doesn't go too fast, skip the drop, and lose a ton of time. The drop in question is this one at the corner right up here, and thankfully all things went according to plan.
J'ai encore plus culpabilisé.
Oh mon Dieu.
With all the medicine in tow, it's time to head back to Abe at the retirement castle, but Marg has to escape a black sedan along the way. This is actually a super easy escape where you can just drive normally along the route and even hit some traffic. There's just a lot of leeway given here.
Ça ne devrait pas t'en plaire.
Oh non!
Je ne suis pas très doué. Je devrais faire plus attention.
Je conduis comme une gamine qui est en CE2.
The medication made Abe sleepy, so Marg has to take a quick detour to the Quickie Mart for some Trucker's Choice Stay Alert capsules to wake Abe up. When he gets to the objective and finishes the mission, an unskippable cutscene will play where Abe tells Marg about crop circles, with Marg making a connection between Buzz Cola and whatever's going on. Let's sit back and enjoy this cutscene with some classic Simpsons dialogue.
Ces ratons devraient faire plus. Ça va peut-être rafraîchir ta mémoire.
Quoi?
Bon sang, pour la dernière fois, parle-moi des cercles dans les blés.
J'étais là entouré de Tojo et de ses hommes de main quand l'un d'eux, un raton laveur, m'a frappé avec un banjo. J'ai jamais raisonné avec un raton laveur, alors là j'ai...
Grand-père, qu'est-ce que ça a à voir avec le cercle?
Pas du tout. Où j'en étais? Ah oui, la première fois que je suis monté dans une voiture en public. D'accord. Ça remonte tellement loin que je dois raconter ça en couleur sépia. Si je me souviens, c'était un truc plutôt cosmique, de la forme d'une planète, avec une ancienne antenne à la forme d'une source.
Une planète avec une antenne? Ça me rappelle quelque chose. Je crois en avoir vu au Quickie Mart. C'est ça, c'était sur une bouteille de cola. Ça va peut-être rafraîchir la mémoire de Bart.
Jeez, Marg is a lot meaner than I remember. Marg of Steel does a main menu warp to again reset Wasp Collision, but also get the Canyon Arrow back for the next mission. To start that mission though, he first has to parkour up to Bart's room as if Flanders was chasing him for jumping bail.
Laisse-moi reprendre mon...
Here he both starts the next mission and buys the police outfit for 400 coins for the next mission. After resetting to quickly get back out the window, Marg then begins to run around town to collect 30 Buzz Colas. At the playground up here, he's going to do the most important time save of the run, where he zooms in and looks up to walk across the air like earlier in the power plant, which skips a jump and saves like half a second. As he runs around, Marg is also trying to collect as many coins as possible. He does have a good amount of coins right now, but he's going to need 925 in the next level alone, so he really has to load up while he can. Also, going back a second, he just bought the police outfit in Bart's room, so did Bart steal the outfit to sell, or what's going on here?
Normalement, je suis plus performant. Faut que je suive plus de cours de step.
Marg of Steel is now heading into the final mission of the level, From Outer Space, which is another destruction mission. This is why he wanted to get the Canyon Arrow back, since not only does it have a lipstick holder, but it's also beefy and great for destruction. Marg is setting out to destroy every Buzz Cola truck on the streets, while Apu says that he'll do some investigating himself. Marg of Steel wants to try and push this first truck into this street pull here, but misses and goes for a backup strat after grabbing a vending machine. This strat involves getting it stuck up here, but he unfortunately failed that one as well and has to track down the truck and destroy it on the fly. Marg told me that this mission is really cool when you do it well, but he personally struggles a lot with it and it can just become a nightmare when you don't nail the strats. Not that I could tell, because I'd say he still took out that first truck pretty quickly, even though he said it's the hardest of the 3 trucks. He has to drive around town to find the second truck, and while he drives, you can really see just how bouncy the Canyon Arrow is. This shit looks low-key undrivable. He goes off the middle of the ramp here to make sure he has enough speed and the right angle to land on this roof and hit a crate. He then hesitates a moment before driving at the next truck, wanting to time out his hit to redirect it smoothly up to Burns' manor. There he gently guides it into a wall next to his path through the manor. He drives to the right side of the courtyard here to spawn and kill a wasp on the edge of the chessboard, since the wasps have collision again with the main menu warp after the cutscene. The final truck is on the other side of the power plant, and Marg is going to hit it from behind and suggest that it drives into a fence and then ram it into a tree to get it stuck. After the truck takes his advice, it's then time for him to drive to the Simpsons' house. Chief Wiggum is waiting there and will chase Marg for getting rid of his precious pop, the only thing that gave him courage to take off his shirt in the station locker room. The final objective is to escape Wiggum, but there's actually a super cool way to do this quickly. The inside of the Simpsons' house is on the same map we're on right now, but the interior is actually really far away off the map. When you enter the house, you instantly get relocated to the faraway interior. This means that by entering the house, you instantly escape by being so far away. Very in character for Wiggum to give up on chasing a criminal because the criminal went in their house.
Eh bien, cette affaire étant réglée, je retourne à la maison.
Vous avez pris mon précieux cola. Seule chose qui me donne le courage d'enlever.
Level 5 brings us back to downtown Springfield, where Marg of Steel, now Apu of Steel, is trying to track down the source of Buzz Cola. Apu starts the level by running over a wasp camera right away, and then beginning to make his way across town towards Moe's Tavern. There he's going to buy the American outfit for 425 coins, which is the only outfit he needs for this level. Along the way, he's going to collect some additional coins, but just generally whip around in Apu's speedy Longhorn.
Me dépêcher ou les poches de mon mariage arrangé me punira.
Things are really expensive now, with the outfit bringing him to 362 coins and him needing to buy a 500 coin vehicle for an upcoming mission. Apu of Steel drives to the roundhouse ahead to start the mission Incriminating Caffeine, where he needs to follow a Buzz Cola truck to its destination. This is another long follow mission, and Apu is going to focus on collecting as many coins as possible throughout. He's also going to make a minor stop to use a phone booth and set up ESS during this mission. While he drives, I wanted to share a quick personal story about this game. I was 7 when this game came out, I asked for it for Christmas, and my grandma got it for me. My parents told me they were getting a divorce the day after Christmas, and this game was all I played while going through a lot of emotions. My grandma saw me playing the game and saw the underwear costume I had put Homer in and immediately wanted to take the game back to return. I believe my parents' divorce to be the one thing that prevented my grandma from returning this game, so my parents' divorce is partially responsible for this video. Though, I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone else who made this video possible, my patrons. They suggested and voted for this run to be covered, which is something you can do as well for as little as $3 a month, which is like, what, 1 pack of Tic Tacs per month? Just about every other video covered on this channel is suggested by my patrons, so if you want to help pick future runs, that's the best way to do it. For 1 pack of Tic Tacs, you also get your name in these credits, and if you make it 2 packs of Tic Tacs a month, you also get access to monthly Q&A live streams along with my retrospective series as it's released. Buying Tic Tacs isn't required of you at all, but it does help out the channel a lot and helps me do this full time while also paying the runners I feature for their time, so thank you again to everyone who makes these videos possible. And I guess kind of thank you to my parents' divorce as well? Once he finishes following the truck to the legitimate businessman's social club, the mission will finish and Apu of Steel will slam his ass 10 feet down to destroy a crate. We learned from the stereotypical Italian that the trucks are controlled by, quote, mysterious strangers, but we've now stuck our nose where we shouldn't have and have to evade the mafia while driving to the hospital for Apu to pick up his octuplets, all while Apu talks about his favorite Pinocchio character. He has to escape the mafia's limo, but it can't keep up with the falling apart Longhorn and gets lost immediately. Apu of Steel will reset his car the instant he gets close to the hospital up here as the mission updates. That way he's immediately placed in a good spot on the road where he waits a moment for a wasp cycle before driving. Let's see if he gets the wasp when he drives up to the town hall stairs right here. Nope, the stairs are just fucking weird here sometimes, I guess. I'm not even the one doing the run, and I'm annoyed by that. That's so bogus. As Apu finishes the mission here, he talks to his previous identity, who's standing ominously in a dark parking lot at night. After buying a car big enough to hold 10 diapers, he does an alternative to main menu warp, where he uses mission select to go to the first mission of Marg's level before warping back. The Marg mission doesn't have any establishing shot, so you can instantly warp out of it to the next mission with the wasps in the level having been refreshed. This saves 1 second over a main menu warp while accomplishing the same thing. He holds off on showing off his new whip until after he's spoken to Dr. Hibbert. The mission automatically starts once you're in the right car, so getting the car from the phone booth puts Apu of Steel in a better position to push the van into a wall. He then just spams e-brake boosts into the back of a van carrying 9 babies until 10 diapers fall out. He then heads back to Dr. Hibbert to turn in the mission before hitting a vending machine and warping to the next mission, this little piggy. Apu is back on the trail of the Buzz Cola trucks and asks Krusty about them, with Krusty telling him to follow the police to find a professional scumbag. This mission is the one that requires the American outfit that Apu of Steel bought. As Apu follows the donuts to the cops, he goes to take out a wasp by the crates in front of the hospital where he pauses to make sure it doesn't fly away. When he arrives at the station ahead, he's going to try and take out a wasp up the station stairs and instantly reset. I'm glad these stairs aren't bogus as hell like the ones from earlier. He now has to follow Wiggum, but first he sets up ESS. He's then going to attempt to abuse a jump zone in a different way than from earlier. He's going to exit his car while in the jump zone and have the car coast backwards out of the jump zone. This gives you the jump zone effect even when you're not in the jump zone, and you can drive faster due to the bouncier physics. Here his car didn't reverse far enough though, but he will be doing it again at a later point in the run too. With jump zone, he'd be able to catch up to Wiggum here and push him through the expressway shortcut and save 10 seconds. Something worth mentioning is that you cannot get a hit and run in this mission, because if you do, the game crashes due to not being able to show more than 2 police cars at once. Thankfully, hit and runs usually don't happen on this mission. After destroying a vending machine and finishing the mission, Apu of Steel butt slaps off the ledge to grind on the cop before driving up to Serpent. Never Trust a Snake is the longest mission in the game, with Apu making a deal to get info from Serpent's DMV connection on who's driving the cola trucks in exchange for doing Serpent's community service and also handing over Apu's wallet. The garbage truck is probably drunk and drives really randomly, so he's trying to push it around so it drives better. Here he pushes it to the right to force it to turn that way, saving at least 5 seconds on its path. In general, he's trying to push it to be on as straight a line as possible.
Je suis une machine épicée et méchante.
After the truck, Apu of Steel needs to get out and collect trash all over the monorail and the building, and he's gonna take out the first wasp. Oh shit, he missed the wasp kill. He's gonna keep on trekking though and collect a ton of other coins during this stretch as he collects the garbage.
Mon cardio est nul.
When he's all done up here, he's going to do another airwalk by zooming in and looking up, which saves a small bit of time when getting down to his car faster, and oh my god, he destroyed the wasp. That was his plan all along, he fucking boomed me. He's then going to continue through downtown Springfield to collect more trash, slamming into the side of the building up here to stop on a dime and climb up with the AC unit. You might be asking why he's skipping so many wasps if coins are a concern, but just remember that the coins are routed throughout the entire run, so killing this wasp is overall slower than killing a different one at a different point. After doing a 180 in air with the car like how episode 180 did a 180 on Skinner, he continues to drive around town to collect trash, with him backing that ass up on the fire ladder to drop off and get the trash on the side. Up ahead, he's going to reset at the top of the jump to spawn right in front of the final 2 trash cans, which he collects en route to the DMV. As he takes the expressway to the DMV, he skips on taking a shortcut to the side, because if he takes the jump shortcut ahead, he ultimately saves a little time by resetting to a level below after completing the jump.
Nettoyage dans l'allée 1.
Once he gets to the DMV, he'll talk to Serpent to head inside and grab the dossier to end the mission.
On n'est pas supposé, mon pote. Good.
He again warps to Marg's level in place of a main menu warp to reset the wasps, and when Apu of Steel, now Marg of Steel, now Apu of Steel starts the next mission, he learns Serpent lied. The dossier was empty, and he has to do more community service. But it takes 2 to lie, 1 to lie, and 1 to listen. He's now driving to the Googleplex Theaters, which is actually spelled this way in English and in the show, but the sign in the game is wrong. He's going to show off a pretty neat strat up here that's one of the oldest speedrunning strats in the game and saves loads of time. He has to escape Chief Wiggum up here, but if he just sticks to the left wall before beginning to turn right, Wiggum acts like Wiggum and you instantly escape. He's then going to do the famous truck strat from this game, where he guides this truck into getting stuck between a wall and a pillar where it continually moves back and forth, damaging itself over time. This gives Apu of Steel some time to collect coins by way of vending machine and wasp. Before beginning to make his way across the map to the next objective, he just checks in on the truck real quick to make sure it's not getting stuck, because it can get stuck in a way where it doesn't move or destroy itself. You know when you check something and then walk away only to doubt yourself and go back to double check that thing? Cannot tell you how common that is in speedrunning. I do it all the time myself. Since the truck is doing Sudoku, he can now leave the area and drive towards the next objective. He has to be careful to wait before passing into the east side of town, as denoted by the final east side sign at the tunnel, since if he passes that sign, the area around the truck will despawn and it'll escape its binds. Here his movement was timed out really well though, with the truck destroying itself just before he gets to the sign so he doesn't have to slow down when passing into the east side. The next objective is another escape from Wiggum. When he arrives at this part of the mission ahead, he's going to reset right away to get into a good position, then just drive away since Wiggum can't keep up with the turns and gets turned around himself.
Nettoyage dans l'allée 1. Prends ça, Springfield. On y est, à destination. Bien essayé, maudit conducteur.
Serpent reveals the trucks are registered to the museum, so the final mission of the level involves Apu driving with Bart to the museum. Apu of Steel is going to take out a few crates along the way, along with a wasp in the gazebo again, which, did I mention I got a tattoo to commemorate the gazebo moment earlier in the video? But not this specific gazebo moment, just the gazebo moment earlier. This gazebo moment isn't as special to me. To end this mission, Apu of Steel is going to do a strat he loves where to destroy the Curator, he deflects him into a nearby corner which makes him easy to explode. What can I say? Dude likes to smash. Apu says that this strat is typically pretty tough for beginners. When the mission ends, he's then going to do the next cutscene skip, which if you fail, loses you 2.5 minutes. He actually alt-tabs here, which lets him pause buffer this one to hit it a bit more consistently. At the end of level 5, Bart and Apu learn Kang and Kodos are behind Buzz Cola as part of their plan to get the town to destroy itself. Apu of Steel, now once again Bart of Steel, begins the first mission where he needs to drive with Otto to Krusty Lou Studios to warn Krusty about the cola, with the requirement of running over 15 kids along the way. This mission is pretty linear, and Bart's pretty set on coins at the moment, so he's largely focusing on his driving. He's really trying not to get a hit and run this mission, but it's pretty hard to avoid when driving on the boardwalk ahead due to the number of pedestrians. Let's see if he can manage.
Je m'en veux de m'amuser autant.
J'ai fait un truc là.
Wow!
Tu regardes la route ou non?
There's gonna be a black screen when he arrives at Krusty Lou Studios, and he's going to try and navigate left to Kearney during it, but in this run, he got stuck in a corner, even though no one's supposed to put Baby there. He'll stand on the left of Kearney when buying the Globex supervillain car from him for 600 coins, because that puts Bart closer to the next mission. This car is required for the penultimate mission of the level, but may as well buy it while he's here since it's by far the best car available at this point. You have to wait for the truck at the start of this next mission, so Bart of Steel lines up his car with these posts and e-brake boosts into the wall to lift his back end, then backs up into and over the post to be able to quickly destroy multiple crates and vending machines. So Barney told us Krusty is going down to the boardwalk to do a cola promo, which means we have to race him there. But for some reason this includes first following an Itchy and Scratchy movie truck up to Krusty at the observatory. Earlier in the video I talked a bit about rubber banding, where the farther you are from the follow vehicle, the slower it drives so you can catch up. Rubber banding still exists in later levels, but it's much less effective, so you can be far away and the truck will still drive fast, though he still wants to stay close so it moves as fast as possible. He now has to race Senor No Fun from the observatory down to the boardwalk.
Maudis-toi de la physique. C'est pas moi. Ouh, bien joué. Wow.
Bart of Steel then talks to Krusty, who mysteriously is out of sight from his limo and waiting at the finish. Krusty doesn't believe Bart about the aliens, so Bart decides to follow Professor Frink and talk to him to help out. This is what Bart of Steel refers to as the most boring follow mission in the game, since Frink seemingly doesn't know where the observatory is and just does loops around town for a bit. This does give Bart a lot of time to drive around the map and collect coins though, which, reminder, he only needs 500 for the rest of the run. He Here he gets ahead of Frink and purposely blocks him to slow him down, cause if Frink gets going too fast, then he can do some pretty dumb things and get stuck.
C'était dément. Manger de l'asphalte, mangeur d'asphalte. Ouh, bien joué. Ouais.
Eventually, Frink realizes where he's supposed to go and starts heading up the town. And after Bart collects the vending machine up here, oh my god, Frink is going back down through town. I hate this guy. You know, I was just thinking about how much Frink pissed me off there, but I gotta say, I'm still more pissed off about those bogus ass stairs earlier. Like, honestly, what the fuck was that? I'd be so goddamn mad if that happened to me. So Frink ends up believing Bart, but only because Frink had independently learned of the aliens' plan to hide laser guns in the brewery's duff trucks, so now we have to drive around and collect laser guns from trucks. Bart of Steel restarts the mission to skip running to his car, and he told me that he loves the beginning of this mission because of how fluid the driving is. Once he passes through the brewery is when the drop and collect portion begins, and he'll block the truck into the wall by the taffy shop and spam e-brake boosts for laser gun drops. He still has to drive to the Duff Brewery and collect a laser gun as proof, since Bart didn't have the foresight to not destroy any of the laser guns from the truck. He destroys his first wasp of the level as he crashes through the glass here, and will try and collect a second just before the laser gun, but unfortunately just barely misses low. That's okay though, because his coins are pretty okay for now. After collecting the laser gun, he then warps to the next mission where he shows it to Skinner, but Skinner steals it and he has to get it back. He sets up ESS at a booth before beginning the last destruction mission of the game, where he'll try to do the fastest e-brake boost possible and push Skinner into a wall to kill him in one hit, but Bart of Steel unfortunately doesn't land it right here. It does show the power of e-brake boosts though. He's gotta kinda think on his feet now and put together a quick kill from nothing. As he goes about this, he'll end up staring down the local elementary school's principal and his mother while causing their car to slowly build up to an explosion.
Ils savent pas encore, mais ils ont déjà perdu. C'est le moment des grands coups du volant à la barre, Simpson. Pas de problème. C'est incroyable. Maintenant, allons montrer la preuve.
After getting the laser gun back, he shows it to Krusty, who now believes Bart, but laser guns are already all across Springfield. This is the mission where the villain car is required, and is one of the hardest missions in casual play. It's not hard in the speedrun though, you just have to be really good at driving as you take down all 25 laser gun stands. The only time this mission gets hard in the speedrun is if you get a hit and run, so let's hope he doesn't end up with one. Bart of Steel skips 3 stands here, but he'll be coming back later to return to Krusty, so he plans to get them then. When he goes off the ramp up ahead, he's going to go off the right side and reset as he lands, just like earlier, to skip to the other side of the buildings on the boardwalk. After collecting the final 3 stands, he'll then do boat jump again, this time it being easier than as Lisa because this car lets you launch much higher. After getting the 2 crates up here, he resets to the other side of the boat, now having nearly enough coins for the rest of the run. Bart now tells Homer about the alien plot, leading to a race to the Duff Brewery in the final mission of the level, Kang and Kodo Strike Back. This mission pretty much just consists of a drive across town with Bart of Steel using every shortcut at his disposal.
J'espère que c'était cher. Tout à moi.
Punaise, j'ai fait tomber mon kebab.
De tricher, tricheur.
Like the cops from a mission in Lisa's level, the car you're racing to the brewery actually drives on the beach and has a chance to destroy a crate for you, giving free coins. Let's see if it happens here.
Ouais, c'était vraiment...
He then jumps into the boat while turning in air, so that when he resets, he's closer to a checkpoint he has to hit before driving to the finish. Finishing this mission leads to the final cutscene skip of the run. This cutscene is only 40 seconds long, so it's not the end of the world if you miss it, but it still really hurts. The level ends with Kang and Kodos revealing that the cola has spread through Springfield's water supply and it will awaken the dead. They're pretty much Mojo from Marvel Comics. The final level brings us back to the original Springfield map with further alterations, where Bart of Steel, now Homer of Steel, starts the first mission where he has to gather survival supplies for the zombie apocalypse. There's a first aid kit that spawns behind Flanders after talking to him that you're supposed to run and grab. Homer is instead going to run to the side as the first aid kit spawns, which collects the kit without running to it and saves 2 seconds. The rest of this mission is pretty linear, with Homer now driving to Cletus for some boards to board up the windows, and then driving to Moe for a weapon. When Homer pulls up to Moe's, we get to see Sizzlak's cat-like reflexes. Homer now just needs to drive back to the Simpsons home to end the mission, and along the way, he's going to get the final coins needed for the run.
J'ai perdu les commandes.
As soon as he finishes the mission, he whips it around to begin heading to the graveyard where he'll make the run's last purchase, the zombie car, which is required for the next mission, and it's just a really useful car. So after preparing for the zombie apocalypse, Homer learns that Kang and Kodos have their pop-up shop set up above the school's baseball field, and that their tractor beam sucks up trespassers to their doom. This is a follow mission where he's following an alien probe, and Homer starts by driving way ahead of it, which manips it into taking the fastest path. He's then going to keep up with it so it'll go as fast as possible.
C'est difficile que ça n'a l'air.
Up ahead, he's going to do the first major out of bounds in the run. When he enters the graveyard, he's going to destroy a tree on the right so it doesn't get in the way of what he's going to do. He'll then do an enormous e-brake boost off a ramp, pressing left at a specific time to have the correct angle. If he does it right, he'll launch over the river and clear of the bridge, and past the reset point that you typically hit if you fall out of bounds. This means that he never resets and can drive around out of bounds. He has to make sure he doesn't go out of range of the probe car, but he knows exactly where to go and stand to make sure the mission finishes. Once he's able to start moving again without failing the mission, he begins making his way towards where the next mission will start. As soon as this mission finishes, he's going to reset his car to warp to Frink for the next mission, and because he resets the car to get to Frink, the level doesn't fully reload and he's still out of bounds. His zombie car is pretty trashed right now, but that's okay because he's going to destroy it here so he can buy a full health one at the phone booth for just 10 coins. That's some SMRT business if you ask me. So Frink says aliens are allergic to nuclear waste. Wait, who isn't? Homer begins escorting some waste to them by touching his front right wheel on the ground to slightly elevate the car, then reverse and touch the ground with the back left wheel, which gives you hyperspeed and lets Homer zip to the objective. There he drives into the tractor beam and sacrifices Frink to the aliens while dealing the first blow of damage to them. You have to be careful when driving into the tractor beam like this though, because if you don't line up correctly, the waste can blow up on the nearby invisible objects. You have to line up pretty perfectly. Homer of Steel warps to the next mission, which reloads the level, meaning he's no longer out of bounds. Homer's now in need of nuclear waste and seeks out Mr. Burns to get more. He starts the mission by going to the phone booth and buying a brand new full health zombie car. He then drives to the baseball diamond where he's going to line up on the backstop and do a huge e-brake boost. He slowly turns right, then charges and releases at a specific angle when facing the mound, and he times out pressing left to exactly when the camera changes, redirecting him to do a huge jump that flies over a big invisible wall to get out of bounds. This is why the zombie car is so useful. It's a cute little car that you can use to repeatedly get out of bounds. Homer then begins driving towards the power plant and begins counting in his head to know when he needs to reset. This timed out reset puts him right outside the power plant, where he's going to clamber up some girders, which is a climb that can actually be pretty tricky. Normally when you end this mission, there's something about Monty, you get frozen in place, but Homer alt-tabs real quick, which gives him control and saves 2 seconds. He talks to Mr. Burns, who thankfully has no jizz in his hair, and begins the next mission where he needs to go retrieve nuclear waste and bring it to the bitch-ass allergic aliens. He's going to drop down to his car and then get out of bounds in a totally different way, which is the hardest way in the run. He'll reverse until his back wheels are even with the painted lines, then reverse back into the wall. This pops up his front enough for him to turn and get his wheels onto the pipe, where an e-brake boost lets him drive up the wall and out of bounds. He can then drive in a straight line to the end, skipping the first of 3 missions that somehow made me want to die more as a child than my parents' divorce did. Homer talks to Serpent to start the next mission, where Homer Simpson forces Serpent into driving him to the power plant for more waste. Homer of Steel says this is a super satisfying mission to do in the speedrun and is one of his favorites. The level still isn't loaded, but as he begins driving through the area, it'll load in all around him. This just means he's going to have to get out of bounds again if he really wants to save time. Homer of Steel is going to try and do a jump like he did with the zombie car, except Serpent's car isn't quite as fast as the zombie car. Thankfully, he can make the car go that fast by getting the jump zone state. He needs to lose this alien car, but he first is going to use it to get the jump zone state by parking in a jump zone here and letting the alien car hit Serpent's car out of the jump zone. Because Homer was in the jump zone though, the state persists when he enters the car, and it's very bouncy now and therefore very fast now. In fact, it's fast enough to do the same out of bounds jump as before, but this time Homer gets so much speed that he decides to just YOLO the jump even though he clips the tree along the way. Fucking easy. It's then a short drive before he resets to be out of bounds again at the power plant, where he rotates the car a little left to get hyperspeed again. He grabs the next nuclear waste and then goes crazy speed zoom to sacrifice Serpent to the aliens. The last mission Homer also says is great and that he loves speedrunning it, and it's the mission where he's going to sacrifice Abe for the greater good. I'm sure Marg would be happy about that. He's going to position the truck in a specific spot and get out to get jump zone, but it's really hard to pinpoint exactly where that is in the void. He has a lineup though where he uses this arrow on the ground as a visual cue and holds E-brake and accelerate to turn in place. He lines up Abe's head with a texture in the distance and then accelerates until his minimap arrow is lined up with the road. That's when he gets out and Homer is standing in the jump zone, but the car isn't because the jump zone is above. When he re-enters the car, he has jump zone, and he then drives to trigger the alien car in this mission before turning around and heading straight to the power plant, which is the finish line for this race. When you have the jump zone state, if you touch another jump zone, then you lose the state. So when he drives around out of bounds, he sticks to the right to avoid touching a few jump zones that are around here. When he hits the finish line up here, he'll then turn around and collect the last bit of waste and then immediately drive up the wall like before. It's much easier this time though because of jump zone. He'll then drive to the finish, but this stretch is actually the scariest part of the mission. He has to trigger another alien car along the way, so he has to be looking at his minimap to navigate, but there's also an invisible wall he has to avoid en route because if he bumps into it, the nuclear waste gets destroyed. Homer then has to navigate to the tractor beam, which requires a lot of awareness as to where you can drive when out of bounds. If he's too far left or right as he approaches the beam, the waste can blow up, but Homer says you can't think about it. You just have to drive. This is where the run ends, but Homer decided to do a cutscene skip at the end here just to show off, which unfortunately skips the last cutscene. Oh, sorry, Homer didn't choose to skip it. His hands chose for him. That's what he claims. Anyway, thank you so much to Homer of Steel for helping make this video. Truly, it would not have been possible without him, and he's got a great sense of humor for letting me call him different names all video. Please give him a watch. He streams regularly and also posts to YouTube. Anyway, that's all for this video. This was an all-story mission speedrun of The Simpsons Hit and Run. I've been Tomato Anus, and I hope you have an above-average day.